Coming at you from New Jersey, the capital of misery, and the place where metal forgot to die. This is the Here Lies Metal Too Many Notes New Music Review. Once again, with your host, Samantha.
Hello, welcome. I am Samantha, and we're here, of course, with Maledictus as always. And today, on the Too Many Notes New Music Review, we're here to discuss the newest album from the black thrash death band from Brazil, Carrasco.
Carrasco.
Thank you, Maledictus, for the R roll that I'm much too white to do, with their newest album, Tormento, Eterno.
Tormento Eterno. You know what that means in English?
What could it mean?
Eternal torment. With my very skillful translation talent, I could figure that out.
Maledictus is chief linguist here.
I could figure that out in real time. I didn't have to look it up on Google at all.
So who's in this band?
Oh, so we got a power trio here, which is cool. Carrasco is on drums, Terror Holocausto, which translates to Holocaust terror. This one's my favorite. On bass, Torturador, which translate to the one or the man who tortures, or perhaps expert in torture. And on guitar and vocals, we have Opressor, which means oppressor in English. It's pretty cool.
Thank you, Maledictus. This band formed in 2004, and this is only their second album. Big fallout from 10 years ago, 2011's Armageddon. I wasn't familiar with Carrasco, so we're starting out at the beginning over here at Here Lies Metal. I'm very excited to join on Tormento Eterno. She came out September 3rd via Cianeto Discos on Bandcamp and on CD. It's not on streaming, but it's only $3 on Bandcamp, so I recommend you check it out.
I should have translated Cianetos Discos.
I mean cyanide discs.
Oh.
I looked it up.
There you go.
And I believe they have a tape coming out. Not sure on distribution. Anyway.
So now it's time for the review. It's time for the Here Lies Metal 5-point bi-directional classification scale, including the categories genre loyalty, listenability, production style, musical complexity, and just plain fun. And please, once again, note that either end of these scales means good or bad. It's all a careful balance. What do we have here?
Okay, scale 1, the genre scale. These guys are definitely true. We're getting a 1.5 for true, but it's tough to get all the way with this particular style they're playing in that mixes, a lot of elements of black metal, thrash metal, even a little bit of death metal, speed metal in there. And it's always their own, proprietary blend when it comes to these bands. So we're getting a very true, but not quite true. I would say of those, they're mainly thrash, particularly kind of like a Slayer, Hell Awaits era thrash.
Hell Awaits.
Hell Awaits.
Hell Awaits.
Would you agree, Maledictus?
Yes, definitely.
Well, you've got those very intense thrash riffs that definitely trespass into the realm of death metal pretty liberally, just because they're so intense. But what also very heavy influence on this album is some first wave black metal riffs coming in there. Very Bathory, very Sarcophago, of course. They're Brazilian forebears.
Sarcophago.
I noticed that, their closer was called O Sarcophago, which I'm probably not a coincidence. I even think their logo even looks a little bit like Sarcophago's logo.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yeah, let's see that on the screen. There it is.
It's got some pointy bits.
See that? Pointy
Same
bits.
kind of pointy bits.
Kind of spines.
So
it's a
yeah.
weapon.
I'm sure they love Sarcophago, and if you love Sarcophago, you'll probably enjoy this band as well. I think a good measure for the range of this band is just take a look at tracks 3 to 5 if you want to dig in. Apologize for my Portuguese pronunciation here, but O Feiticeiro, track 3. It's a very mid-tempo, first wave black metal kind of jam, very groovin', but it breaks into Morte Bestiale, which is some real chaos thrash, very high intensity, and into Kova, track 5, which is just the most death metal that I think they get on the entire album. I also want to highlight the last track, the closing track, O Sarcophago. Just because it has some of the most intense thrash chugging, but as they I think kind of their real standout thing they do is they just break out that much more melodic, kind of almost blues tinged, almost black and roll, but very first wave black metal riff in the chorus. So we're mixing these intense thrash riffs with some, much the evil sounding but much more groovier first wave black metal riffs.
Morte bestial. I believe that means dead animal.
It means bestial death.
Well, there's different ways of looking at it.
The linguists will argue about
It all
that
depends on the context. Anyway, I'd like to mention.
I wasn't done.
Oh.
But of course, since all those styles, I'm making a big distinction, but they're not actually that distinct. They're all very similar, all very related to each other. So they blend very seamlessly. It's a very cohesive and authentic product we're getting here. So very high marks for true on the thrashed and death black metal scale.
I'd like to mention the intro. That they've got that very that obligatory old school light part thrash when you enter the album, like they used to do, and so that makes it true.
Paying homage.
Yes, that's truth. That's truth right there.
Okay, scale 2, the scale of terror. We are of course getting a score of terror here, a 2 though, not all the way, a 2 for terror. The usual culprits are pulling this into the sonic terror, and we've got harsh vocals, all that thrash chugging, the extreme BPMs of the more intense death metal and thrash sections. But this is a riff album, and by that I mean the riffs are interesting, catchy, grooving at points, they're memorable, they're dynamic, they sound different, and they cycle through a variety of tempos, sometimes even within the same song. Definitely not afraid to go slower, and they don't lose any of that bite when they go slower either, but they will go slow. And I think, having that kind of cycling through different tempos keeps us more on the engaging, less monotonous, more listenable side, less terror side. But yes, this band really cares about their riffs. They want to meet them fast, but never too fast. That they ever lose fidelity, because they definitely want you to hear all those little twists and turns they put in there and all their little chord choices and where they go with those riffs. So yeah, not as intense and insane as some of their speed and thrash brethren, but it makes a more pleasant listen.
Yes, Carrasco is there. These guys are thrashing straight into the sonic terror void without any regard for your safety or their safety. They're just going straight in. They don't care. There's
too much sonic terror.
Yeah, you gotta hang on here. So, but that's expected of this.
I thought it was a nice hang, not too terrifying, but of course we are afraid.
Yeah, it was a lighter roller coaster. It wasn't like the meanest roller coaster, but.
All right, scale 3 production scale. We're giving this surprisingly a 3.5 into the nice production. Let's turn to Maledictus here.
Well, this record does not sound like a new and shiny recording of, say, perhaps one of the big four or second string big four, those 8 bands. I don't have to tell them to. Like those kind of bands would make an album today. They were always kind of cutting edge with their sound, right? However, it does sound like that first wave thrash sound that you might hear in 1985, only with less reverb on the vocals. What they used to do back then with the old Slayer albums.
I thought it sounded a little bit better.
Well, yeah, it sounded better.
At least than Sarcophago.
It's not as chaotic, I would say. Digital recording methods, obviously. But overall, the recording is solid and very thick. And I believe it or not, there's a lot. There's a slot in this soundscape for every instrument to shine. Which is not a common virtue. It's not a common occurrence in this type of music.
I heard the bass.
Yeah, you could hear the bass.
Multiple times.
Distorted kind of bass, but you could hear it very clearly. So, it's very difficult in this kind of mix, this kind of music, this kind of distortion and speed. So. All
right, scale 4, the note scale. We're getting a 3, which is the score for the correct amount of notes. Obviously, this album's very fast, but they're never breaking their necks, ever.
No necks wrecked.
The leads are of the chaos thrash variety for the most part, but sometimes those solos, they get a bit more melodic, but when they do, they slow way down. This guitarist is definitely not trying to show off or anything. It's not about guitar solos or being a guitar virtuoso. The drumming is just, it's correct thrash drumming. We've got all the fills we need, none of the fills we don't. And speaking of things we don't need, this album is a very succinct 34 minutes. Almost all the songs are under 4 minutes. A number of songs are under 3 minutes. The middle of this album just whips by. Maximum impact, minimum time, correct amount of notes.
Maximum thrash efficiency. There's nothing crazy going on here. The riffs are short, sweet, and mean. No crazy solos, no sophisticated songstruckers. This record represents a time before thrash eventually lost its way in the deep woods of progressive dark magic.
All right, the final scale, the fun scale, we're getting a 2 for pretty fun. Even though the riffs are very mean and the vocals are very mean, but this band just comes off as fun to me for some reason. I mean, perhaps it's those added in, like, just kind of, even though they sound very evil, just much more grooving first wave black metal. I would even call some of them black and roll kind of riffs, but much heavier than most black and roll. Maybe because the lyrics are all in Portuguese, and I just really like hearing that thrash vocal in Portuguese.
That's mean.
I'm gonna call track 6 Ritual the apex of fun on the album. I could just see a bunch of Brazilian guys, holding their beers up and going, yeah, or whatever they do down in Brazil at the show.
They're at the place where they keep giving you sausage, forever. The Carrasco. I can't pronounce that. We've tried that before. But you know what I'm talking about. And they're just having a good time, eating a lot of meat and drinking beer, right? Interestingly, in Portuguese, yes is the word for yes is sim. But that would just mean sort of a context of yes. But say hey in an excited manner would be a. E-I-E.
E.
And, but the proper translation for saying yeah in a celebratory manner would be viva! Viva!
That doesn't seem right.
That's what
to shout viva at the thrash band.
Yeah, right.
Do they do that? I bet they don't.
You wouldn't think maybe they would do that, but
we're gonna go down to Brazil and you're gonna say viva, and they're gonna.
They'll look at you. That's the wrong word, man. You shouldn't have just used Google Translate. But that sounds kind of similar to vida, which means life. I don't know if there's any kind of
viva means live.
Live, right? Live. So maybe
to life.
Yes. So maybe it's like a similar thing. I don't know. I don't know.
Celebrate life. Viva.
I don't know the.
We're here for some black metal.
I do not know the edit.
We're not celebrating life.
Yes, I don't know the etymology of these words. But anyway, that's all for that. So we have artwork.
Let's look at the art.
As usual.
I want to say I could not find a credit for the art, so
nobody made it.
Unknown artists. No, it just appeared. It was
nobody did it.
Yes. Okay. What do we have here? What do you see?
Okay, so this I like this two-tone kind of thing. Using instead of using black and white, they use kind of black and gold.
Looks kind of like a woodcut.
Yeah, right, like a woodcut, like a stamp. Like
it could be a woodcut.
Yeah, they kind of stamped it there. We got that logo there, the spiny logo. It's like a weapon, right? But here we have like maybe eternal torment here. So there's a snake, like a serpent snake, a biblical sort of serpent snake, but it looks like it's a sword. Going through
it's just a stake.
A stake going through a disembodied, decomposing head.
It's a skull.
Perhaps. I mean, it's got some skin on it still.
Are those flames everywhere?
These are like flames, but in the flames are like spirits of the damned.
Okay, I thought they were kind of like trees or maybe like reeds.
No, they look like they're like flaming to me. I don't know. Maybe they are like.
They have a flame.
Or maybe it's reeds.
And
yeah,
Tormento Eterno kind of evokes hell. So
you
maybe this isn't hell. There's a snake in hell. Apparently.
Yeah, that's the serpent, like the biblical serpent, right? But originally I couldn't see his head down here. I thought maybe his head was in the skull, but no, his little tail is in the skull, and his head is down here, and he's sort of like guarding the skull. He's like, maybe he's tempting people. He's like, come and touch the skull.
Come touch the... I don't want to touch the skull.
It. He's like, come on, you want to touch it. Come on, Eve, you want to touch it.
Anyway, it's a fine representation of the album.
Nice.
Looks like a thrash cover. It's appropriate.
It's got the old English writing in full caps. You know what you do there. So
all right. Yeah. Final thoughts. I was very excited to find this. Took a little bit to dig it up. And you see something from Brazil. You hope it sounds a certain way, and this sounded that certain way. Did not let me down. Very good riffs. Very fun listen. And yeah, very excited to have found these guys.
The Brazilians have a long history in metal, a long respectable history in metal.
Listen, I listen to everything that comes from Brazil, and you'd be surprised that it's not all good.
Yeah, well, South America in general has.
Maybe not everything that comes from Brazil, but
some of it is just silly.
These guys are the ones they're truly carrying the flag forward of their ancient Brazilian thrash black metal roots.
Say that Brazilian Big Four there. Yeah. So, all right, folks. So that was our review of Carrasco, and stay tuned for more metal reviews. See ya.